have a very special experience to share with you in this video. My boyfriend Justin and I went on a weekend hiking trip to celebrate my birthday. Justin found a beautiful park about 3 hours west from our home. We hiked Friday through Saturday in Wyalusing State Park, where the Wisconsin River meets the Mississippi. I felt this was a great opportunity to show others interested in maintaining a healthy plant-based lifestyle how I navigate a high-endurance hiking excursion far from home. Oh, this is super cool. We arrived at Wyalusing State Park at 11 a.m. Friday morning. After traveling for about 3 hours in the car on Friday morning, we decided that about 3 hours of hiking would be sufficient. So in total, we were able to do about 6.5 miles on this particular day. If you guys have not gone hiking in the spring, I cannot say enough wonderful things about it. This was so rejuvenating. Seeing all of the trees and the plants that are freshly grown around you and the smell, it had just rained this day. It was just beautiful. But another thing we noticed during this weekend was how much we were able to reconnect with one another. Between raising a 3-year-old and being constantly bombarded with our work schedules, Justin and I never really get a chance to talk about anything other than those two things. So this was a great reminder of why we connected in the first place, and it was really special. This is Wyalusing State Park. Here's the Wisconsin River. Flows over here, and up here is where the Mississippi begins. On Friday, when we arrived in the Prairie du Chien area in Wisconsin, we started right here, and we walked on Old Immigrant Trail for about 2.6 miles. And then instead of continuing down Old Wagon Trail, we went up to Bluff Trail. This one was really cool. This is the one where you can see all the staircases and the cave and lots of hills and valleys. And it was a great hiking experience because it was definitely exerting. And then when we returned back to this area, we walked down to this Sand Cave Trail and went all the way around to see the waterfall and back. That was sufficient for us. We were ready to get to the hotel by then. I researched hotels, Airbnbs, and different bed and breakfasts, everything you can imagine, cabins, all the different sorts of lodging that was near Prairie du Chien. This was my favorite because first and foremost, it had a full kitchen. I cannot go on vacation and not have a full kitchen. I need especially this large freezer and fridge combination. You rarely see that in a hotel, but also the sink and the microwave are features that I always look for when I'm booking my room. The second thing I look for in lodging is some sort of fitness center. Justin and I are huge into strength training and different physical exercises that keep us in the shape that we're in order to do these types of things in the first place. We did not get a river view because I wanted the sink. All right, let's unpack because we have a ton to do. This is all my food. So this is my fruit. So I have tons of grapefruit and tomatoes and apples. Whenever traveling, I will store my food in these insulated totes with plenty of freezer packs inside to keep them cold. So these have kept my food cold today for over close to 7 hours. Here are my veggies. All sorts of different cut up vegetables are always great to have on hand. Cooked mushrooms for my salad. Gotta have those fungi. Here are my seasonings with all the nutritional yeast, flaxseed, garlic, lots of good stuff. Here's some more fruit. I feel like I can never have enough fruit. As well as my organic red wine vinegar, some squash that I had already eaten most of earlier before our hike, as well as some pre-batched beans that I had made earlier in the week. And then I can't go anywhere without my salads. So this is just a different mix of greens and colorful veggies. Some jicama, some red bell peppers, onions, broccoli sprouts, kale, bok choy, lots of good stuff. So Justin and I actually ate in the car on the way to Wyalusing State Park this morning. So I actually ate whatever's missing in those bags of vegetables. I ate that this morning along with plenty of fruit and the rest of that squash that was missing in that container, as well as another container of garbanzo beans. So I was ready to go for a 6.5 mile hike, and I had no problem making it back to the hotel with no snacks or anything. So for my last meal, I'm going to prepare this ginormous, delicious, vibrant, colorful salad with these cooked mushrooms. I always push for getting at least 3 different types of fungi in my diet each week. So these would be the baby bellas, the white mushrooms, as well as the shiitake. The beans are to make sure I'm getting plenty of starch in this meal because I definitely just depleted all of my glucose stores during that hike. So I actually ate a lot more than this. This is just what fit in the container. I believe I ate the rest of what you see next to me. But in this mixture of seasonings and different spices, it's mostly like cayenne pepper, red pepper flakes, as well as different all-purpose seasoning mixes. And like I mentioned earlier, the nutritional yeast, as well as the ground flaxseed for those omega-3s. I usually provide some kind of vinegar on my salad. The acidity is so good for you in so many different ways, especially since it's a fermented food. So it's really good for those healthy gut bugs. But it's also been shown to have some awesome weight loss benefits, so that's always a plus. I find that just using vinegar instead of some creamy nut-based dressing, it's so much easier for me to maintain my weight. Lastly, I always top my salad off with plenty of fresh tomatoes. Usually Roma tomatoes, but since we're traveling, I like the ease and simplicity of using these cherry tomatoes. After finishing my salad and a ton of fruit, I joined Justin just down the hall from our suite at this bar and grill. As you can see, their options were not exactly plant-based, nor salt, sugar, oil, and other chemical-free. So I was very glad I brought with me what I had. So I just finished up at the gym and I feel so much better. I don't know what it is about things like alcohol and sugary foods and super fatty or unhealthy foods that we constantly feel this need to like trial and error. And well, it was kind of good last time I had it and I know it's not good for me, but maybe I'll just try it one more time. And yep, I still hate drinking because every time I do it, I regret it. And then a couple years pass or a few years pass and I try it again and I'm like, again, why? Why do I do this to myself? Oh, what was I thinking? But I don't like to be too dogmatic about anything too.
So if you think about it, like living in this society where everybody is doing this one thing and you're the only person not doing it, or at least it seems for the most part. And then once in a while you give in, it's just not surprising, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like if you are around a certain situation for so long, you're eventually going to get weak and give in at some point. It's just about experimenting and trial and error. And I don't want to say moderation because I'm not a huge fan of moderation, but I do think that every once in a while, if it's a specific occasion and you planned ahead of time, like, yes, I'm going to do this specific thing at this specific event, and you allow yourself just that and you don't go over that threshold, then I feel like that's perfectly normal. Not necessarily healthful, but it's more for our psyche to keep things a little more balanced when we're so structured around our diet and healthy lifestyle choices. So then you don't feel like overly restrictive or almost too regimented. Justin went to go play basketball for a little bit because you guys saw how ridiculously limited that gym downstairs is. So I am going to sit up here and read Dr. Furman's book. And he's going to go shoot some baskets, and then we're going to go hiking again today and spend at least a few hours doing that. It's not as nice as it was yesterday. It's a little bit colder out, but it's better than, you know, staying inside like we have been all winter. So we're gonna get out and enjoy the day. So I'll catch up with you guys a little later. I haven't had breakfast yet. It's like 9. It's a little after 9, so I'll probably be eating soon. But so far the dietary aspect has been super simple. As soon as you practice this lifestyle, like a year or two, it's just second nature, and it's no longer an inconvenience. It's just the way that you eat and the way that you travel and the way that you pack, and it's just life. Just like anything else, taking a shower, brushing your teeth. As long as you're surrounded by people that make you feel comfortable doing what you're doing, then that's all that really matters. Okay, so I'm going to read my book and I will catch up with you guys a little later. This has been a very wonderful birthday so far. And I am going to start making my salad. So here's what I have. The salad that I brought from home. It's a lot larger than it looks in this picture. And then I have this mix. This is like nutritional yeast, cayenne pepper, red pepper flakes, pepper, a little bit of kelp flakes, as well as some garlic and, some all-purpose seasoning. Oh, and some chipotle powder. Lots of stuff in there. I have some shiitake and baby bellas for my mushrooms. And then my leftover black beans and chickpeas. I'm using this organic red wine vinegar because I recently discovered that the balsamic I was using was actually causing my teeth to stain. So if anybody's like conscientious about their teeth and all that jazz, you might want to look into a vinegar that's not as dark in color or doesn't have as many color additives. And then I'm going to put some of these really yummy cherry tomatoes on top of the salad. You can't even tell how steep this is. This video doesn't even do it justice. Day number 2 of hiking was significantly harder than the first day. I don't know if we were just a little worn out from our first go around or if it was the travel, but man, we were feeling it on this day. This is where my daughter gets all of her goofiness. I am so hopelessly in love with this man. This is Maple Sugar Trail, but despite its seemingly innocuous name. It is quite the hike. And the sun's coming out, so that's nice. Oh, it's been a chilly morning. You enjoying yourself, baby?
Mm-hmm. We started again in this area where we parked our car, and then we walked down Sentinel, which was about 1.5 miles, and this was absolutely gorgeous. Of course, the first hike is always the most beautiful because you have the most energy. And then as we walked down Sugar Maple, this one was rough. This was lots of altitude. And we came down to Turkey Hollow Trail, and we wound up coming up to this observatory, and my boyfriend had to see this observatory, so it was not even open, but at least it had a bathroom we could stop at. So this was actually a bike trail that we got lost on. This was over 3 miles long. That's a long time to be lost in the wilderness. So this was our little detour. This was exhausting. Bike trails are not made like hiking trails in that the terrain is much more difficult to traverse because the grass is not cut and there's no gravel or dirt. So something a bike would be a lot of fun to go over with, but hiking not so much. So when we finally got back to the observatory, we were exhausted and we came down Walnut Springs Trail and back up to the car. So overall, that was a good 15 miles on both days. And this is a little over 10 miles on the second day. So believe it or not, I didn't even take any snacks with me. I was completely full. I made sure to eat a big meal ahead of time with plenty of starch, plenty of beans, plenty of legumes, and then a little bit of fruit and veggies on the drive to the park. But we were definitely hungry afterwards. So you don't need to feel obligated to take a bunch of trail mix or a bunch of fatty nuts and a bunch of high calorie options. You can go 4 hours without eating on a hike. It's perfectly fine, and it's probably good for you. People get so worried about what they bring on these hikes, but honestly, if you just eat a good meal before and after, as well as maybe take some sweet potato or some beans along with you, you'll be perfectly fine, depending on how long the hike is, obviously. Okay, so we got a little lost there for a second, but we made it back to the car. And now we're gonna go to the grocery store to fuel back up. I have no idea what I'm gonna eat for dinner. We definitely don't wanna go eat some greasy food at some restaurant, so. It's my fault, by the way, that we got a little lost. But that's okay, because we got a lot of quality time together. Some much needed quality time. All right. Okay. Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. Piggly Wiggly has 0 organic produce. So we have blueberries, strawberries, butternut squash, and some beans that unfortunately, these were the best ones. Unfortunately they have salt, but it's not much. And there's no added sugar, so that's a plus. My body's probably yearning for some salt right about now. Alright, back to the hotel. I forgot about a rather important detail about canned beans. They require a can opener. So we borrowed this one from the front desk, but for whatever reason, it's nothing like Justin and I had ever utilized before. So it took quite a number of tries before we finally brought it back down to the front desk and they revealed to us that it was open the entire time. So
If you are going on vacation and you forgot to pack enough of the beans that you had already prepared at home, then make sure you either bring your own can opener or ask the front desk how the heck to use it. This was rather comical to me because Justin is one of those unique creatures that can pick up anything that he tries to learn immediately. So to watch him struggle was rather amusing.
All right, while I wait for the beans, I'm gonna cook my squash in the microwave, unfortunately, but that's okay when you're on vacation to make some compromises. Let's try. I think we were equally famished by this point. I ate this entire squash, this can of beans, as well as the majority of what was left of my veggies and my fruit. It was a really, really lovely way to end our evening.